What's up guys? Dustin from Project 85 here. Welcome back to the channel. I've been seeing a lot of talk about kill switches for direct drive wheels lately. So I thought today, why don't we make a kill switch of our own that's compatible with Logitech and Thrustmaster. Now instead of using a communication line like the Fanatec does to turn off the wheel, we're going to use a switch that cuts the power to the Thrustmaster or the Logitech wheel. This is completely novelty and you most likely don't need it because I don't see a Fanatec or a Logitech ripping your arms off if they get caught in them, but it's fun to make stuff. So anyways, let's get started. Here we are, my workstation, aka my kitchen table. So we're gonna go ahead and put together the kill switch we're gonna make for our steering wheel. But first, I have a small disclaimer. What we're gonna be doing here is a little bit of electrical wiring. Now, electricity is inherently dangerous and you could hurt yourself or others. So please, pay attention, be careful, and if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to do it. Or get someone that knows electricity or an electrician to help you. While this might seem minor to me to wire this, but for some other people, this isn't common knowledge. So again, be very careful because this could hurt you, it could cause damages, and worst case scenario, cause death. And I don't want that to happen. So like I said, take your time, be careful, or get someone to help you, and do it right. Alright, so for the kill switch, we need to install an emergency stop switch into an electrical enclosure or some type of box to contain the wiring and all that. For our project here, for me, I printed a small angled box using my FDM 3D printer. But you can use a 4x4 junction box or a small project box, whatever you want. In the description, I'll link a few different options that you can use to put this thing together. But like I said, for my all intents and purposes, I made a box. So let's go over everything we're gonna need to put this thing together and actually make it work. First, we have my printed parts. We have our switch. We have an old PC power cord that we're going to repurpose. A small extension cord that I bought on Amazon. Next is 2 strain relief connectors for cable. Then some M4 hardware to mount the cover. I've got a couple wire nuts that we'll need to make the wire splices. For tools, we're gonna need some snips, a pair of wire strippers, Phillips head screwdriver, an 1/8" drill bit, a 1/2" small screw gun, and a small impact. So this is everything we'll need to get this thing together. Let's go ahead and get started. First, let's go ahead and install the switch into the faceplate. You need to take the switch apart. For us, we're going to make sure that it is lined up properly because the box is slightly offset. Try to make sure everything's nice and square. And the emergency is in the correct location. What do you think? Pretty centered? I think it looks good. Hey now. So we'll leave that as is and we'll set it aside. Nice little emergency stop switch that I got on Amazon as well. Again, same thing. I will link in the description all the little parts that you need to be able to make this if you want to make it yourself. Next, we're going to drill some holes and install the connectors in this. Now, I already pre-marked them out on here, so it'll be pretty easy for me to drill. So let's grab our small drill and drill bits. We're going to use the 1/8" bit to start a pilot hole. Swap over to our 3/8. Take our time with this because it is plastic. And I also don't want to mess up my nice table. Yeah, so you can use whatever box you want to. Like I said, I just made this because I have the printer. I could easily, just as easily have gone to like a Lowe's or a Home Depot or bought something online to be able to mount all this stuff in. The concept is all the same. It's just a different medium that you're using. Whether, like I said, it's a PVC junction box or a project box you got somewhere, it all kind of works out. It's the same thing. Let's take our two strain relief connectors. What these do is they actually squeeze down on the wire. I typically use them a lot in electrical work, so we'll use them here. Take the lock ring off. I grabbed the wrong bit. So that wasn't a 3/8 hole, it was a 1/2 inch hole. Alright, let's clean up this mess and put our connectors in. Alright, now that we have the connectors installed into the box, let's go ahead and set this aside and prep the cords. So first, we're going to prep the PC power cord. This is a leftover cord I've had from a PC build I did. I don't know if it was this past one or one I did a few years ago. But why buy stuff when you have things? So we need this end for the kill switch because this will plug into the wall. And then the other end of this will cut off and put into here to terminate to the switch. We're going to take the end and cut it off. Discard that. Let's go ahead and see how much wire we kind of need for this. So let's do about that. That should be enough wire to wire the switch. So I'm going to strip it. These are advanced techniques. You can use a razor blade or whatever you use to regularly strip wire. I just kind of use whatever I have. Gently though, you don't want to tear into the wiring and damage the protective cover of the copper. There you go. I got some wires. So we can feed the wire through. The black sheathing on the wire, the protective covering, to just be outside of the connector. Now the power cord for the kill switch has been installed. Let's deal with the load side of the switch, which this end your steering wheel will connect into. We're not going to use the whole cord for my application because where I'm going to place the switch is right next to the wheel, so I don't need a really long plug for that. So we're going to cut it short. But when you do yours, you need to figure out how much cord you need for that. Like I said, I don't need much, so I'm probably only going to do like maybe, I don't know, a foot like that. It's way more than enough. So let's go ahead and cut this. And same thing, we got to strip it enough. That way we can feed it through our connector. So about the same thing. That way we're in the same realm. For this, you just want to score the wire, and I like to twist it. That way it breaks the, not the actual wire, but the rubber coating on the outside. just take the connector end off, set it aside, feed the wires through. Should be all right. All right, let's go ahead and install the rest of the connector. Tighten that down. Good to go. All right, let's move on to stripping this wire. Let's actually make sure the grounds are the same length. We're gonna strip them all before we actually wire them. Ooh, look at that. I guess this is what you get for using a repurposed cable, or repurposing a cable. It's got strain relief, like a strain relief kind of string in it. Huh, interesting. We don't need that, so we're gonna cut it. All right, so in this application, the switch itself doesn't have a ground, so we're gonna go ahead and just twist these together and just kind of set them aside till we get everything else done. Actually, you can go ahead and put a wire nut on it, because all this is going to do is just stuff back into the box. You're just completing the ground that goes from the receptacle to the unit. You see, now we'll just stuff back there, just like that. Same thing with the neutral. The neutral does not need to be switched, so all we'll do for this is same thing, cut it the same length, strip them and twist them together and put a wire nut on them. The only thing we're making and breaking here is the hot wire. So we'll twist this together and put a wire nut on. Same thing, we can tuck these back up in here, in the back of the box, because they just are pass-through. Let's cut the hot wire the same. Go ahead and strip these. Strip these a little bit shorter because they're actually going to go under terminal strips on the switch. Now I do like to twist them a tiny bit before you land them under the terminal. It just helps the wire stay together. Okay, moving on. Switch time. So we need to wire this to the normally closed portion of this switch. This has a normally closed and a normally open. What that means is when the switch is not operated, so operating this would be this pushed in. That's, let's say in an emergency, the wheel's spinning and breaking your wrists, you hit that button and then it should break the circuit to turn off. So with that, we need to use the normally closed, which means when the switch is not being operated, it is closed, which means the circuit is complete. When you push it, it breaks the circuit, thus breaking the electricity, or whatever you want to call it, breaking the power to the steering wheel. So on this particular switch, the orange side is the normally closed and the green side is the normally open. We are going to wire it to the orange side. So we'll take our screwdriver, loosen these terminals up a little bit, both sides. For this, it doesn't really matter which side you put to the load or the line side wires, because it's the same. It doesn't matter, it breaks it. You can kind of see it, I don't think you're going to be able to. It breaks it, you can kind of see there's a window. So we will, I always stick it on the left side, because as screws tighten, it pulls the wire in a little tighter. Tighten that down, and then we'll do the other side. Same thing. Install on the left side of the terminal, and then tighten down. I mean, you don't need to tighten it down so tight that you break it, but you definitely want to get a nice good screwing down. So, all right, there's that. So now we can install the faceplate onto the switch. or onto the box, sorry. We'll grab our screws we have here. These are M4 Allens, metric Allens. We'll take our small little impact and run this thing in. We're not going to tighten it down all the way because I don't want to strip it. I just like to use the impact to start the threads. And that's it. That's really it. It's pretty simple to do, not too hard. And now we have an emergency stop kill switch for your sim rig or whatever else you want to do. You could literally use this for anything. All you're doing is sending power to a switch, making and breaking whatever you've got plugged into it. So let's go check it out and make sure it works. I went ahead and mounted it to the rig so that way we could see what it's going to look like and also see it in action. So we're going to do a quick test. The unit is currently powered on. What we'll do is turn off the power, turn the power back on, and while it's self-calibrating, we'll hit the emergency stop so you can see it stop. Now that you've seen it in action, let's watch some footage of finished product. Hey, thanks so much for watching. I super appreciate you spending the time to watch the video. If you liked it and found it informative, give it a like or subscribe. And now, if you decided to make the kill switch, let me know in the comments if you thought of anything different that would have made the concept better. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.